I guess I'll start off with just an East Texas boy, born and raised in East Texas area, Dallas. I lived in Greenville, Texas my whole life. I went to school at A&M and graduated with A&M at Commerce. And on a Friday night and on Saturday morning mail, I had a draft notice next day. So I had to make a decision whether I wanted to join the Army or look for other services, and I decided to go in the Navy. Joined up for a 6-year commitment for a nuclear power program. I wanted something challenging, and that definitely sounded challenging, just graduated from college. I was a business major, so that really sounded pretty challenging to me. So I enlisted in the Navy, and immediately within a month, they were shipping me off to boot camp in Orlando, Florida. And I spent the next 6 months down there in the rain and the heat, playing enlisted boot camp. I was enlisted E2, and finished Orlando camp there in 6 months, and they transferred me to Great Lakes, Illinois, to machinist mate, Class A school, nuclear power. So I spent the winter, never been too far from Texas before, and the winter up in Chicago was really enlightening, shoveling snow, that kind of thing. Had been married, got married in '68, so I've been married a couple of years. The wife and I moved up there. She went with me the whole time, and we lived in a little apartment, efficiency apartment in an old hospital. That's all we could afford. We didn't make much money as an E5, and served as E4, and then got promoted to E5 while I was there. But we had not enough money to buy enough beans and rice and a few things to eat. We just didn't have a lot of money to eat, and to go out to the club or anything else, I'd go and donate blood, and that was the way we had extra spending money to go do that. Otherwise, didn't have enough money to do anything other than just go to school. Finished there, graduated in my class there. Next duty station was nuclear power school in Vallejo, California. So Navy moved us all the way out there, and we drove out there and got a little apartment off base, and this was a 6-month school of nuclear power training in Vallejo. Had the wife waitressing. She had a little extra income coming in there, and I went to school every day. That was a good experience, living in the height of the hippie area in San Francisco. And that period of time was in the 70, 71 area. So that was pretty interesting to see on your off-duty time, to see what was going on at that time in the Haight-Ashbury section of San Francisco. And at that time, we had a little Volkswagen bus that we drove around. That's what we owned, so that was kind of fun. Graduated from there and transferred to nuclear power training unit in Schenectady, New York. Navy's wisdom, Utah was just real close to California, but they chose to move me to Schenectady, New York, cross country. So we traded in our bus and bought us a new little Pinto, which was the newest thing for Ford at that time, and we tried to drive across country to Schenectady, New York. And halfway up there in the middle of the night, up in somewhere around between Cleveland and Detroit and heading towards New York, the engine blew up on a brand new car. So we were kind of delayed getting there, having to rent a car and the expenses and all that kind of stuff. But we finally got to the school and got in touch there, and that was an interesting experience for almost a year. It was rotating shifts. We worked day shift one week, next week swing shift, next week gray shift. Get a day off, go through the whole thing again, get 2 days off, go through the whole day again, do 3 days off, and start all over. So your body didn't know which way you were going, coming, eating, or drinking. I think they did that on purpose, but the whole point of the training was the discipline and keeps how your body would react to working long hours on the ship as nuclear power. I graduated from there and was having orders to the USS Enterprise as a second-class machinist mate, nuclear power. About the same time, the last week or two I was there, I got notice I was accepted for officer candidate school. And I said, well, that'd be great. I've just finished nuclear power school. I can be an officer in nuclear power training. Just finished a year of training, well, 2 years of training, counting Vallejo. They said, no, you've got a business degree. We need you as a supply corps officer. I said, okay, if that's what you like, I'll be fine with me. Navy sometimes does some strange things, but the needs of the Navy always come first, and they needed supply officers at that time. And even though I'd spent $500,000 in education and training for 2 years, they decided to make me a supply officer. So promptly, instead of going to Enterprise, they canceled those orders. I had orders to OCS in Newport, Rhode Island. Newport, Rhode Island was a great experience. I went there between classes, so I got to shovel some more snow. Of course, your wife can't be with you up there. It's basically another boot camp. I went through Orlando, and now I'm going through officer boot camp. And so I was one of the unique people that gets to go through 2 boot camps. And it was kind of interesting, other than the cold up there and the wind, standing duty out on these little yippy boats that they had you do. But it was very interesting tour, enjoyed it, and learned a lot of things about ship navigation, those kind of things that I'd never used as a supply officer, but I enjoyed my time up there, and my wife came up to spend a couple weeks there just before I graduated, and the neat thing about that place was my daughter was conceived there, so that was a highlight of my life there.